Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as the case may be. We welcome everyone to our virtual learning hour. My name is Barbara Czachurska-Jones, and I'm very pleased to welcome everyone during our session, which will focus on how to assess board training needs to make the cooperative governance better. We have a full agenda for today, which we will start with a quick Zoom poll and then proceed to ask Dr. Judith Hermanson to provide a bit of context for today's session. Then we will have presentations of our colleagues, followed by the Q&A session. So as we proceed, we thought that it would be a good idea to start with setting those various challenges that we all meet in working with cooperative governance. We received through the registration over 50, maybe closer to 70 different types of responses. And I have put down here just a couple of statements that reflect some of those challenges that are normally met in working on cooperative governance. And before we start our presentations, we wanted to take a quick poll from the colleagues who are now with us during this session. Here is the poll. And the question is, what are your top 3 governance challenges, in the sense of, you probably cannot address everything. If you need to make strategic choices, where would you work? Which areas would be the ones to work on first of all? So out of this list, please select only 3. Is the poll launched yet? Can we submit answers?
Yeah, we can. So the poll is live, and feel free to submit anywhere up to 3. So you don't have to pick 3 unless you would like to. You can pick 1, 2, or 3 responses, and we'll keep it open.
Well, we'll keep it open for a short time so that we can proceed to seeing the results, because they will also inform our colleagues, the speakers, about perhaps how their experiences and the materials that we want to talk about today are going to help them resolve those issues. So how much time do we still have? Perhaps, what, 1 more minute for the poll? Did everybody have a chance to respond? All right. Is there still time? Nicholas, where are you?
Yeah, we're at almost up to 2 minutes now. We have 75% of our audience who have responded, and we'd love to hear from you. So if feel free to put some responses on there. We'll keep it open for just a little while longer.
All right. I think we're all very curious to see the responses. 75% of responses is good. So I suggest that perhaps we proceed to seeing the result.
All right.
Ah, wow. All right. 47%, no, 53%, lack of transparency and accountability. No, even further down is 63. Low level of participation for the members, lack of transparency and accountability, and then limited internal capacity and adapting to growth. Well, I think these are all extremely important and difficult challenges, and it reflects very much the struggles that various teams have when working with cooperatives and cooperative boards. Let's close and freeze that statement now. And I would like to ask now Dr. Judith Hermansen, the International Cooperative Research Group Director, to tell us a little bit more about ICRG's efforts to bring some closure to the issues that we've been working on and how this work can help. Judith?
Thank you very much, Barbara. And let me also say welcome to everybody who is here. It's really fantastic to have you, and we really are looking forward to this session. We have some great presenters with some really excellent experience, so I'm looking forward to hearing from them. It's also a pleasure for me to kind of put this in context, the session in context, and this governance tool is one of a series of tools that we are developing, and the ICRG co-creating with many of you and other stakeholders. And you know, I think it's very appropriate to be focusing here on governance. The issues that you just outlined in the responses to the poll are really very challenging ones for cooperatives, and it goes to the heart of the way that cooperatives function. As we all know, cooperatives have a very different model from that of a normal, or I shouldn't say normal, a cooperative or another kind of business. And so governance itself has to be reflective of that. There are at least 4 categories of constituents within a cooperative, as you know, and those are the member owners, the primary ones, and their elected board, and then management and the staff, and they all play different roles within that. So how is all of that orchestrated in order to be able to move the cooperative forward? There are some people, many actually, who subscribe to there being 4 pillars of governance: training, accountable empowerment, strategic leadership, and democracy. Those being sort of 4 major principles of what a board needs to do with respect to governance of a cooperative. And so if we could have the next slide, please, Landy. The tool that we're going to be discussing today, and that has been used by our colleagues who will talk with you, is one of a series of purpose-built cooperative tools that are capable of being locally administered. In other words, you don't necessarily need to have some expert from some other place come. They are designed to work within and for the cooperative and its priorities. There are lots of governance tools that are around, but ours is built purposefully for cooperatives and at different stages of development. They are characterized by having been co-created by users, people in cooperatives, as well as people supporting cooperative development. And that is very important because they're able to draw on practical knowledge. They're user tested. Not only have they incorporated that knowledge, but we have tested the tool with before releasing it with people who will use it, have used it, fairly easily applied, customizable. The structure of it means that it reflects the particular priorities and the needs of the particular place. Participatory, which is one way also of ensuring the democratic governance, and is participation, and this is one way of doing that also. And practical, and also very importantly for many, freely available, no cost, and disseminated in a lot of different ways, and including on the ICRG website in our resource base. So these are the characteristics of this tool, this governance tool that was co-created with the cooperative development organizations that belong to OCDC, as well as their partners and cooperatives in the field. And so we put this together with the aid of some expert consultants, and you'll hear outcomes of that and when our colleagues speak in a few moments. Next slide, please. One of the unique things about this particular tool is that it is geared toward early stage cooperatives. It was initiated through a survey of various kinds of cooperatives, and we sort of sorted them into different stages. And you can see here on this slide, they're very early stage beginning cooperatives. You really can't expect that they're going to have the same degree of maturity, expertise even perhaps, in their field perhaps, but not necessarily with their cooperative. And so, you know, that stage, and then what this tool gives guidelines for what might be appropriate for training and what the expectations might be, and how goals might be set by the board for the cooperative's own growth. So in that sense, it's really quite practical, but also recognizes the different characteristics that cooperatives have at different stages of their life cycle. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, this is really an assessment and planning tool, and it's grassroots informed. In that way, it also is quite distinctive. And it is true that one size does not fit all. We think that this tool can be used by many, but a solution for one cooperative is not necessarily the solution for the other. And this tool allows you to adapt for your development stage, gives training options with worksheets, matches the training needs to capacity, and this driven by the participants, the members themselves. So I think that is really something that we hope that you all will consider if you have not already become familiar with it, and that you will find it useful. I think that's probably enough for the context here. What we're trying to do, which is a practical tool that is informed by the realities that are faced in early stage cooperatives primarily, although it can be used at a later stage. And at its heart, it provides for structured conversations on all of those issues that you just identified in the poll within the board, however the board and the cooperative, however they wish to have those conversations. So with that, I'll turn it back over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you. And we've been lucky enough to have amongst our speakers colleagues who represent, if you will, two sides. Jennifer Van Borg, Senior Director of International Development Organization HealthPartners, who is based in US, but works with cooperatives around the world, including Uganda. And we have also as speakers colleagues from Uganda who worked together in response to those different needs identified in field. So Jennifer, if you could please tell us from your perspective as an NGO that is going to be working with a number of cooperatives and cooperative boards, what did you find important, useful? How did you go about those strategies that could help in that work?
Thank you so much, Barbara. When HealthPartners introduced the health cooperative model of insurance in Uganda, there were no policies to support formation, regulation, or good governance. HealthPartners worked with national leaders and the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives to connect partners with an effective enabling environment. Members elected boards, but there was a lack of transparency and accountability, like you're saying, Barbara, like so many partners on this call are facing. How do those boards keep members informed and in control of their cooperative? HealthPartners was excited to work with the International Cooperative Research Group and to find this tool in order to provide help. I'm excited we're talking about it today because I've seen firsthand how effective this tool is to strengthen board governance. Next slide, please. The tool is a process guide that can be used by cooperative development organizations, non-governmental organizations, ministry and cooperative officers, and the tool is basic and intuitive enough to be used by boards and members themselves, so they can identify their own gaps and opportunities to achieve their shared goals. The process of answering questions helps cooperative stakeholders identify their strengths and opportunities. Together, they identify what they can do better to serve the needs of their members. And after boards and members identify what they want to change, they can develop an action plan to schedule training and process improvement. This is how HealthPartners used the tool and facilitated a process with health cooperative boards each year to measure improved governance over time. We invited the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives to join the self-assessment process with the goal that the ministry would adopt it to train cooperatives in Uganda to identify gaps and opportunities and create plans to improve their governance from year to year.
Thank you, Jennifer. This is a great introduction to the work that you have been doing. We will now invite our colleagues from Uganda to tell us their story. We have 3 colleagues here. Carolyn Natabona, who is the Technical Advisor for Governance in HealthPartners Uganda. We have Johnson Andinda, Chief of Party for the HealthPartners Uganda. And we also have David Overe Onyango, Program Manager for the HealthPartners Uganda. This team has been instrumental in tackling the governance issues and has been applying the various parts of the process outlined in the toolkit over a couple of years. So not only once, but more than once, and there is ability to see a certain process and growth. We invite the colleagues from Uganda. Carolyn, could you please start? Carolyn, do we?
Yes, thank you so much, Barbara. I'll start and then Johnson will come in after me. So we are sharing our experience facilitating the OCDC Cooperative Assessment Tool. And the cooperatives the health cooperatives that we support or work with adopted this tool in 2020. And we have seen that over the years, since 2020, we started with about 5, but along the way, as year in, year out, we have seen a number of cooperatives adopt the tool and use it to assess their board. And from 2020, we have seen an increment in the performance or the assessment results. And through the various support that we have been offering to this health cooperative, for instance, tracking the action plans that they actually develop during their assessments, tracking them on a quarterly basis, we have seen that gradually they have improved and the performance has gone on improving. I'll invite Johnson to share with us, the findings from the next slide. Johnson, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Sometimes
Yes.
my video causes challenges.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so like my colleague has introduced how we used the tool to work with cooperatives so that they can improve their business performance. The tool helped indeed the cooperatives to overcome some of the challenges that they were facing, because the process of taking them through the assessments helps them to see the gaps, and they are able to look for solutions. So as you can see, the exercise is really conducted in an interactive session, collaboratively, where the members assess their board, and then the board also assess the way they have been doing the work. So one of the challenges that the tool helped board members and members overcome was the challenge of roles and responsibilities. And through the assessment process, they were able to learn their roles. For example, the members now know they have to hold the boards accountable so that they can, give them the services that they are, mandated to give them. And then the boards were weak. They were not having, the capacity to know what they are supposed to do. And through this assessment process, they were able to develop action plans and make sure that they can act on those action plans to improve the service and their leadership skills. So I think generally we have seen this process help in terms of the board members being able to know their roles and responsibilities, but also, increasing their skills to lead better. That is some of the issues that this process has helped us to work with the boards improve upon. Thank you. I'll turn it over to my next colleague, David.
Very good.
Thank you, Johnson and team. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We had challenges of low member participation and with the board and the members themselves. And through using the tool, members participated in cooperative classification and directly assessed the performance of their board to be accountable to members. This process triggered further question, discussion, and interest by members to know what is happening in their cooperative. So as you can see in the picture there, you can see that the members of that cooperative are actually participating through voting of one man, one vote when they were raising their hands to pass some of the resolution. Then lack of transparency and accountability was also a challenge, and through using the tool, the process facilitated, or the tool facilitated members to disclose their board leaders and practice freely. So this is a self-assessment tool that members build capacity of members to ensure that members ask for accountability from the board, and the board also gained the knowledge to know that they are supposed to account to the members, and they are there on the behalf of the members. Thank you so much, and I'll hand over to you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you, team. So we also have, and are lucky enough to have with us, the Chief of Party for Peru team, Cooperative Development team of GENEX, which is organization, also a member of OCDC, Mr. Joe Charlie Mantilla Oliva. And we will switch in a way from the health sector to a different sector. And that's an opportunity for us to see if the applicability of those different tools and the different assessment methods is more universal, and how it could be applied in different set of positions. Joe?
Well, thank you, Barbara. Good morning to all of you. Good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you are right now. I'm Joe Mantilla, Chief of Party of, I'm part of the team of this team that work this Cooperative Development Program in Peru. I would like to thank OCDC for the invitation and also give all of you greetings from Peru. Well, we, the team of GENEX, have worked with 21 organizations in Peru, primarily located in the regions of San Martin, Huánuco, and Pasco. These organizations are situated in various different ecological regions, ranging from the low jungle tropical areas and also some others in the Peruvian Andes. No? So this is only to make a little context of what we have developed. So today I will try to align our experience with these 21 organizations, almost 1,000 farmers, dairy and beef producers of Peru, with what this tool developed by OCDC has systematically and very well summarized for us. No, I really consider that this tool is very strategic. It's a strategic tool, and it's very important in order to identify the training needs of the board members. No, which at the end will subsequently impact in their organizations, and that's the example that we want to share with you today. So in this first slide, I want to begin highlighting the challenges, the problems faced by these organizations, by these cooperatives, and also by these farmers in their daily lives. No, over the past 5 years that we work in Peru, we have observed that there are no individual problems that can be addressed in isolation in an individual way. Most of these challenges are interconnected, are interrelated. So I want to address the issue of leadership and how it can be effective. No? If leadership is not well strengthened and developed, it will result in a low participation from the members. No, both at the board members and also at the members in the general organization. If board members have limited skills and knowledge, that would lead to very poor governance and a weak management capacity. And at the same time, the lack of an adequate knowledge about their roles and their responsibilities can lead to a lack of transparency and an inadequate accounting. At the end, this will end up with generating conflicts in the organization. Therefore, our conclusion in these 5 years was to have an integral approach in order to identify organizational challenges and consequently the training needs. Next slide, please. So we have identified that it's essential to train and strengthen the capacity of the board members, but in 2 levels. No, one at the cooperative level, focus on governance and business vision, because we all need to have sustainability and have productive cooperatives. But on the other hand, we also need to focus on the farmer level, focus on those technical aspects that are relevant to farmers in the daily lives. No, next slide, please. So today I bring you an example of 5 organizations, 5 cooperatives that presented their business plans to government programs in order to look for access to funding. This is for us a direct example of the success of training board members. Without this adequate training, without the apply of all these phases that we have seen in this tool, they will not have been able to go through each phase detailed in the manual, meet government requirements, address farmers' needs. All this process include evaluating the challenges, the needs of these cooperatives, creating commitment of the members of the board, collecting information at that level and also at the farmers level, generating a systematic proposals in order to share with all the members and then receive the feedback to be approved and to present these government programs. They wouldn't be able to join, to look first what were the human resources that they need to in order to apply to this process, and present at the end a solid proposal to the government programs. Well, finally, as you can see here, these 5 organizations have approved their business plans, and at the end, they apply strategic investments in their organizations, align it with their needs and the needs of these organizations. For us, this is an example in reality in field that demonstrates the vital importance of training board members in governance to create development and to create success in their cooperatives. Thank you for your attention. Now, I think we go to Barbara again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, all the speakers. This has been quite informative. And I think at this point, we would like to invite all our participants to take this opportunity and either ask questions to our speakers or share their own experience, some of their comments on their work and how different strategies help them achieve the better results. Please share your comments and questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, or just raise your hand, and hopefully we'll be able to address all of those questions asked. Would anyone from the audience like to start? Please don't feel shy. Well, just to start us off, perhaps, I see in my box a question that is addressed basically to all of the speakers, because it touches upon how to increase the capacity of the boards in the situations where members of the board change often. How do you preserve the experience and the knowledge accumulated by one group of board members when some of them leave and are no longer working with the same team? Would any one of our speakers like to address that? Jennifer?
Yes, I'd be happy to address that. This tool is really great for exactly that purpose. The new board members, when new board members join, they often don't know a lot about their roles and responsibilities. So if the board can come together and use this tool for onboarding, it helps to review the different aspects of their governance, and that builds awareness, but it also strengthens the board cohesively in terms of what are our goals, where are we going, and how well are we filling each of these needs for our members? Where are there opportunities for us to be focusing on what we can do better? And so we loved using this tool with health cooperatives because they were able to then use it themselves to help onboard new board members when they were elected. So even through that turnover, it's a really powerful process to bring the board together to identify their needs.
Thank you, Jennifer. I see Francisco Donoso. Please, floor is the floor is yours. Please tell us which organization are you with?
Hi, everybody. Well, my name is Francisco Donoso. I represent NCBA CLUSA here in Ecuador. And currently we are implementing two projects, Farmer to Farmer, and another that is called Radar. And it's been of our interest always to try to implement CDP here as well. We know that there's some NCBA CLUSA implement the project in other countries such as Guatemala, and I think Peru as well, as the other participants present. But I have two questions that I would like to ask to any of the panelists. The first one is, it's been a challenging for us in Ecuador. We do not have too many cooperatives. We have more organizations or associations, and getting youth involved in the cooperatives has been very challenging for us. They are not currently interested in participating in this type of process. They prefer to migrate and work in the big cities, or even migrate to other countries. And so my question is there any suggestion and anything that we can add to the tool that has been presented today that can help us to align or try to youth to get involved in this type of process? And the second one, very quickly, is there any timeline that you have, more or less, how long could take to an association or organizations to become like a, let's say, like not very weak organization or cooperative until they become like kind of success? Thank you.
Thanks for your questions. Johnson, would you like to, or Carolyn, how did you address the youth question in your organizations?
Okay, I'll go first. In our organization, or in our support to the cooperatives, we encourage the cooperatives to have youth as part of the board. Because when you have youth as part of the board or in the board composition, it's actually easy for them to participate in the affairs of the health cooperatives or the cooperatives. And in so doing, they are able to reach out to other youth, because therefore they will also be looking out for concerns that are actually directed to the youth, or the areas that the youth are really interested in. So that is how we have managed. We have youth who are on board, part of the board, and in so doing, they reach out to other youth regarding their different concerns, and they are able to bring those concerns for discussion. That is how we have done it.
Thank you. Joe, would you like to comment on Peru's situation?
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I was going to raise my hand to try to answer the question of our colleague. Well, he has a lot of questions related. The first one is associations are the normal kind of organization in Latin America. It also happens in Peru here. The first thing, we need to adopt the cooperative model. No, we need to sensibilize all these farmers and try to adopt this cooperative model. And we need to also train and sensibilize all the members in that the cooperative is a business, no? A business that has profits, that is sustainable on time, because youth is looking for attractive activities. And if they, especially in the agrarian sector, if they visualize that these activities are not a good business models, probably they will not be motivated to integrate or to migrate from an association to a co-op, and then to make a business in begin this kind of business. So normally youth are very motivated to work with the resources to protect the environment. This is a good topic that we can use here in Latin America to involve youth, but essentially we need to train them that this is a business, that in the business vision of their organizations. No? So with that, I think we can involve more youth in these cooperatives. No, I think that's the first part of the question. Well, there's a lot of questions related with this, but there's not a timeline that can tell you when these cooperatives are a strength and when they are sustainable. In our experience, you need to work daily, day by day, and all around the time. And this will never stop, because you need to make it, today it could be sustainable, but probably in the next years could not. So this is a never-ending work. You just need to continue working on sustainability and all of these aspects. No? Well, I don't know if that have answer our colleague's questions, but I hope it can clarify his idea related with this topic.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I see Sarah Coates has a raised hand. Sarah, would you like to comment, ask questions? Hi.
Hi, how are you? I'm Sarah Coates. I am from the Cooperative Council of North Carolina. And I just wanted to see, one of the speakers mentioned the board pillars. It was a strategic and some other pillars. I wanted to know if she could repeat those for me.
I believe this was Judith.
Yeah, it was me, and I will. Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, I'm not muted. Okay, I'm just off camera. Sorry. Yeah, the strategic pillars are teaming, accountable empowerment, strategic leadership, and democracy. And sort of as a, I guess as a bucket, if you want to put it that way, the board helps to and is responsible for those functions.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Alfred, I saw Alfred Aurora from Kenya, a colleague from Woku's team, had a hand up before. Alfred, are you there? Would you like to ask your question or comment?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks so much, Barbara, and presenters for a wonderful presentation. This is Alfred of Woku, Nairobi, Kenya. We are actually implementing a project that is also touching on governance and leadership. My question has partly been answered. However, I just wanted to look at the women component. I think the presenter also looked at youth. How does the tool look at the women component in terms of women in boards? And then how can we access the tool? I think I joined a bit late, so I don't know whether there was a presentation about the tool. How can we access the tool, and how long does a typical assessment of a cooperative take? Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Johnson, would you like to comment, or David? Please feel free.
Yeah, Barbara, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think if I got him right, he's asking how to access the tool. Was that the question?
Plus about the women participation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think accessing the tool is through OCDC, but this tool is out really for cooperative development partners to use. And I think that's how we came to access it at Health Partners Uganda. And then the issue of women involvement and the youth. Here in Uganda, the law requires that on each board, there are 30% of women and 1 youth. So if your board is 5 people or 7 or 9, then you see how to make the percentages. But you cannot probably elect a board when you don't have that women representation. And then definitely when we are conducting the assessments, we ensure that women involvement is key, is taken into great consideration, because for us in the health cooperative sector, we find that women are the most, caregivers in homes, in families. And so their feedback, their experience is really very great. And then on how long do you use the tool? We've been using it in a day, assess a cooperative in a day. Some activities are conducted in the morning hours, and then in the afternoon you go into feedback and making, looking at the recommendations and the action plan and way forward. So it is basically a day's activity, but as you could have heard, although you came in a bit late, this is an annual event that we conduct annually. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the team?
Any of my team members can add on. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jennifer, please add on.
Thank you. There's one thing that I would add, and that is that I think the tool prompts conversation. So it can be used for the board and members to think about, how could our cooperative be stronger if more women were participating? Are we giving voice? Are we taking advantage of all of the opportunities that we have to achieve our goals? So we've seen it prompt discussion and then action plans that help the cooperative be more proactive and intentional about how they are including all members and hearing the needs of all members and meeting them.
Great, thank you. Anyone else would like to ask a question or make a comment?
Barbara,
please feel free. Yes.
Barbara, I posted a question in the chat. I don't know who is managing questions over that side, but
could you please share this question and possibly answer it?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to probably ask it direct. We've seen transparency and accountability feature among the top challenges. Even when we were preparing for this workshop, it came on top. And I was wondering, probably since leaders are working voluntarily and there is no pay, maybe it's high time we rethought the cooperative values of, self-help and, working for free. I don't know whether this could be a research question you and Judith and the team over there can think through, but maybe it's high time people who are working in cooperatives as leaders want to be paid. And because nobody's talking about it, people decide to pay themselves. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but it is really a top challenge, and I don't know what we can do to overcome that. Thank you very much. Maybe we could include a lesson on transparency and accountability to be extremely strong. We need to look for a solution to that because it is really a top challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnson. Well, Judith, would you like to comment? I mean, it's a fascinating area that borders on not only general behavior, but also expectations and certain cultural context. It's and as Johnson mentions, it has very important practical considerations. Perhaps we can include it in areas of future research.
Yeah, I would be glad to comment on it, but I would actually like to hear maybe from Joe first and just get another perspective rather than my just giving my views. I'd be glad to comment afterward, but Joe, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot. If you don't care to comment, that's fine too.
No, it's not a problem. Well, I was trying to understand the question. The question is how to involve members and increase the participation of this, because I get lost on the question. Probably Barbara, can you summarize me the question, please?
Johnson was mentioning the issue of board members being paid or not paid for their work, and the cultural expectations or certain behaviors around this, and the practical consequences of more or less participation or willingness to participate. How does that look like in Peru, in your experience?
Yeah, okay, thank you for the clarification of the question. Well, actually, in our experience, the technical or the professionals in the cooperative who need to be paid are the general managers. No, probably the members of the board don't receive any payment. No, and we believe that this is the right way to do it. No, because this cooperative is built in order to make profits for all the members. So if you, in your activity, for example, in our case, the dairy sector, this cooperative sells milk or transform milk in cheese or other products, they already have this economical activity. So the members of the board are working in order to develop this activity and to create more profits. No, it will not. It's a matter of values. No, probably will not be right if they are paid to increase their own activity. No, so the better way this will work is that only the technical and the professionals involved in the cooperative will be paid. No, because that's an expense, that's an administrative or an operation activity. No.
Thank you, Joe. Judith?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you both, Johnson and Joe, for raising that. I haven't really run into the challenge of board members expecting to be paid very much. And I think what Joe is articulating has been the assumption that when you have a professional staff, they're employees of the cooperative, and they obviously receive a salary for what they do. They're overseen by maybe a general manager who's also paid, who is in turn overseen by the elected board. And the board members, being members of the cooperative as well as owners, like all of the other member owners who belong to the cooperative, are taking on this position to help to guide the cooperative for their own interests as well as the member owner interests. And I think with the cooperative principles, the idea is that, wouldn't be forever you are a board member, and there will be other people who would take up that role and that responsibility, and not everybody can do it because of maybe other financial concerns and so forth. But I don't know, I would like to learn more about what those pressures and practices are in the context that Johnson was speaking about. And I think at the end of the day, the cooperatives can set their policies, and often they may be even policies in place with respect to registering the cooperative and criteria that cooperative have to meet in different countries. So that might be one as well. I don't know, but if there's reimbursement policies for travel or that sort of thing, I think that the really important thing is that it be transparent, that it's not be something that there's somehow power being concentrated and people benefiting from the cooperative in a way that isn't known to the members, and that will undercut the effectiveness of the in my opinion, effectiveness of the cooperative overall. Because cooperative governance, as cooperatives themselves, one of the main things that binds them together is trust that they're advancing in the mutual interest of the cooperative, and therefore all the members. So but anyway, thank you for the chance to think about that and to comment. I appreciate it. And thank you, Joe. Sorry again for putting you on the spot.
Thank you. And Margaret Baugh has put in a great comment in the chat. Margaret, would you like to briefly comment on it? Hi.
Yes, thank you. I have had many years of experience with worker cooperatives in the home care industry. These tend to be women, low-wage women, doing very difficult work, working very long hours, many hours. And so time spent on board duties is time that they are not earning wages for their families. And so, to be fair, the home care worker cooperatives in the United States tend to pay board members for their time spent on board duties.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to know. Great to have you with us. I'm looking at the clock, and unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of our session. And before we do end, we encourage everyone to either share their further questions or comments with us. We will respond and send you the information following the session. But before we close, we wanted to launch another quick poll. Are you interested in a more detailed session to learn about how to do those exciting things that are described in the manual and that our colleagues had experience with? This is here a yes and or no answer question. When we follow up on the session, we will share with everyone both the links to the manual, and if there is interest, we will also send a follow-up, perhaps organize another session that looks more deeply at the different types of activities that are involved. So can we please launch the this Zoom poll, Nicholas?
Yeah, it's already been launched. We have 19 out of 34 responses, 55%.
Great.
Or more actually, all say that they'd be interested. And so if it's all right with the group, for those of you who have responded yes, we may follow up with you to discuss and potentially schedule another training session that's a little bit more detailed. And we invite, of course, all of you who are interested to join.
Could you show us the result, please?
So we'll end the poll here. It looks like very overwhelmingly, everybody who's responded seems to be very interested.
Great. Well, that's a great response, and thank you very much. So we will be in touch with everyone. And here at the end are some contact information for the organizations participating. And also, as you see, the first material that is listed in the supporting materials is the link to the Cooperative Governance Assessment toolkit. And there are also other informational pieces about the HealthPartners programs and GENEX programs under the Cooperative Development Activity, CDP. Thank you, everyone. we are going to close this session and invite everyone for the next one, which is going to be on July 17. We are going to send another invitation shortly. That session is going to focus on worker cooperatives. So Margaret, we do hope you're going to join us, because we are going to talk about worker cooperatives and how they can be a great tool in the variety of tools that supporting organizations are using in their work with cooperatives. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thank you, and see you again. Goodbye.